The most amazing thing to me was that Donald Trump yesterday in the Oval Office said something like, "Oh, I wasn't really involved there." If by not really involved, he means completely involved. Actually, they were very involved. In fact, no one would have done this. The Indiana legislature wouldn't have done this if it weren't for Donald Trump.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Friday, TGIF, December 12th, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, the GOP's redistricting flop. Number two, House Republicans' high-stakes healthcare meeting. And number three, DOD tries to cool tensions with the Hill. All right, Jake, let's get into it. The top this morning focuses on redistricting. Obviously, we've talked a ton on this podcast about this. President Donald Trump's big strategy and push this cycle was to try to change the map and, aggressively go after potential redistricting of maps and seats across the country. But it has not netted the number of seats that the Republicans had hoped.
No, Anna, it is not. It is. This is okay. The most amazing thing to me was that Donald Trump yesterday in the Oval Office said something like, "Oh, I wasn't really involved there." If by not really involved, he means completely involved. Actually, the White House sent J.D. Vance to Indianapolis twice. Trump has called in to various meetings, or to at least one meeting that I know of in Indianapolis. They were very involved. In fact, no one would have done this. The Indiana legislature wouldn't have done this if it weren't for Donald Trump. So he was very involved, and they lost. And listen, the Republicans were hoping to net, 7 seats in redistricting. It might be a wash. They could actually even not lose seats in redistricting across the board here.
Can I say one thing, because I think it's important on this Indiana thing? 19-31. The vote wasn't even close, Jake. It wasn't like, oh, if they had just turned a few of these guys, it was going to change, right? I mean, this is a pretty stunning rebuke. They clearly didn't want to do it, and then being forced to do it, having the president kind of publicly bully them on True Social, say they put their names out there for some of these state senators. It didn't change at all.
No, it did not. They didn't do as well as they thought in Ohio. Utah, Democrats net a seat. Kansas isn't moving. Missouri might not go. Democrats are going to redistrict Virginia, which could net them 4 seats. And we'll have to see what happens. And, Florida is the Republicans' last best hope, and they could go from anywhere from 3 to 5 seats. I mean, most people think 3, and they think 5's a stretch. Some people think 1. It's just, listen, whatever you think, it's interesting. Republicans say, well, Democrats started
this forever.
They've been doing this forever. And by the way, I don't know, when Republicans say we haven't done it, I think they should look up on Wikipedia or on Google or wherever a guy called Tom DeLay, DELAY, who certainly did famously redistrict Texas to help the Republicans, but whatever. Let's just say this. Republicans and Democrats have both done this. Some say Democrats have been more brutal, whatever. Okay, this round of redistricting, let's talk about 2026. This round was started by Republicans in Texas.
Yep.
It was. California then went, and Hakeem Jeffries' point, and you could think what you want of Jeffries, you could like him, you could hate him, but he made a good point here. He's like, if Republicans are going to do this, we're going to be aggressive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're going to go and we're going to push hard on this. And that's what they're doing. I mean, and they haven't even been that aggressive. I mean, Maryland's taken a pass, Illinois' taken a pass, but Virginia could be a massive story for Democrats. They could eliminate a huge chunk of the delegation. So this will go down in history, most likely, as an ill-advised push by the Trump administration, Anna. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of it. I think it's interesting and it's important to note the Democrats' decision to engage. It reminds me of, you think about Republicans engaged early on super PACs, right? And Democrats said, oh, we don't like big money, dark money. We're going to wait a couple cycles, and then finally had to play catch up. This was a time where they were saying, okay, Trump's going to move here. We're going to go just as hard on the reverse side, and we're going to give Republicans the upper hand, because for a long time, Democrats have said, you look at a lot of these states, California's a perfect example, saying, we want to take out the politics of redistricting. We're going to have commissions. We're going to have all kinds of things. but they did not let the kind of philosophical argument get in their way. And I think that because of that, you've seen them kind of meet and or exceed expectations across the country.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I always say about these things, it's like, if you're not going to engage in whatever the other party is engaging in, it's like playing soccer when everyone else is playing, tennis. It's like they're two different games here. We should also mention the Supreme Court looks like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I wish I was sometimes, but I'm not a lawyer.
You don't even play one on television, Jake.
No, I don't. I don't play anything on I guess I'd play a congressional reporter on television, which I'm not playing because that's my job. They look like they're going to strike down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. We don't know what that ruling is going to look like, if it will be for 2026 or it will be for 2028. We don't know. That could net like a ton of seats in the South for Republicans. We'll have to see. It's shocking to see. And I just want to say one more thing about Indiana. They went for a 9-0 map. There are two mistakes that I think happened here. Going for a 9-0 map, you wonder if they went for an 8-1 map and eliminated just Frank Mervan in the Gary area, what would have happened there? And you also left the Indianapolis seat Democratic. And also, I wonder if the administration wasn't so publicly hostile toward these legislatures. You wonder if there might have been an easier way to do this or a more effective way, but we'll never know, Anna. We'll never know.
All right, one quick point of privilege here. Senator Jean Shaheen, the Democrat from New Hampshire, joined us yesterday as our guest on Flyout Day. We discussed how she would grade Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, foreign policy and health care. We had our very own Andrew Desiderio and friend of the program, Bob Costa of CBS, joining us for the panel. Jake, it was a great conversation, super interesting. I mean, she is one of the last consensus-building moderates and is in the middle of literally every single thing going on Capitol Hill.
She's in the middle of everything. And it's a great interview, a great episode about a ton of different issues, healthcare, foreign policy, as you said. So anyway, great episode. Hope everyone could check it out.
All right, Jake, let's run to the number 2 story of the morning. We've got some news here. Speaker Mike Johnson and the House Republican leadership team will meet this morning with the GOP's 5 families to discuss a plan to give moderates a vote on the Obamacare subsidies next week. This huddle, we write, is crucial because it could weigh heavily on how Johnson is able to navigate an incredibly fraught scramble over health care that has splintered his conference. So first of all, for anybody who's listening that is not kind of on the day-to-day, tell us the 5 families, Jake, and then get us up to speed on the context here. We've been talking a ton about healthcare and Johnson's challenges.
I hate the 5 families nickname. It's the Republican Study Committee, the RG2 Republican Governance Group, Main Street Problem Solvers, and the Freedom Caucus. It's kind of the ideological range of the House Republican Conference. Johnson takes decisions to them to pressure test them and see if he could pull them off. What he's trying to do here is he's trying to do an amendment vote on the Obamacare subsidies. It's a fine thing to do. It's not going to be a major deal, right? It's not going to be something that kills the discharge petitions, which we wrote about yesterday, but it does give moderates a vote. It will help him theoretically pass his larger health care bill. I think the 5 families are going to freak out, to be honest with you, this morning. And I think this is a little, I don't want to say too cute by half, but a little too cute by half, because I think these discharge petitions are looking for a solution, not just a vote. And that's what they want here. The moderates want to extend the healthcare subsidies. They don't want to vote. They want to extend them to get them signed into law. They think it's necessary for their political survival. A vote doesn't do that, quite frankly. It doesn't help them on that front. So an interesting meeting this morning. But it
could let out some of the tension, right? I mean,
sure, and it might. Yes, and it might help him pass the underlying Republican health care bill, which, again, I will say is not going anywhere, but it's a pressure release valve, and sometimes Congress needs those, and this is going to be the big story next week, Anna. Healthcare, healthcare, healthcare. Remember, Mike Johnson said to me this week, we're going to have 2 more quarters of healthcare debate, which is, in his leadership, people were like, holy Lord, we are. So
not only in his leadership, I don't know that there's a lot of Republicans who want that to be their focus. I mean, for the going into the midterm election, that is a risky proposition if you look back historically for Republicans.
Indeed, it is.
All right, let's run to the number 3 story of the morning. A great item this morning on the DoD policy chief and how they're trying to cool Hill tensions. Pentagon policy chief Elbridge Colby is on a peace mission but this time to Capitol Hill, following a series of scathing criticism from Republican senators who said Colby never responds to their questions and is overseeing a pigpen-like mess. The Pentagon's number 3 is quietly trying to tamp down the tensions. Super interesting because so rarely do you see division between this administration and, Hill Republicans. But Brianna Riley and Anthony Dragna, our new Hill defense policy reporters, have the scoop along with Andrew Desiderio on kind of this charm offensive that's been going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Bridge Colby is someone who's known to a lot of these folks. I mean, he was in the first Trump administration. He's somebody who's been he was Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Strategy and Force. He is somebody who people in the policy world know. He's been around Republican national security policy for a long time. He is making nice with the Hill. Brianna says this. He was at the Reagan National Defense Forum where he did not speak, but was meeting with lawmakers and all of that stuff. It's fascinating because this is somebody who the Hill was a little bit skeptical of in his confirmation process and is now making nice. Great item. Exactly what we're looking for from Brianna and Anthony. Terrific thing.
All right. We are going to leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And you can check out Flyout Day Listen wherever you get your podcast. You're listening to this, or you can check us out on YouTube as well. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.